Now, in 1980s and 1990s, we started to notice much higher heat, warming of the temperature. Springtime comes in earlier, fall time comes in later. Ice doesn't get as thick as it used to in the 1950s and 60s. So when you take a look at the elders who were talking about going out in the land, sometimes they would go out in the land at the end of October, thinking that ice was the same thickness as it used to be 30, 40 years ago. Some fall through the ice with their all-terrain vehicle, for example. I have known a couple of people who did not survive.
Yeah.
That's the impact of climate change and global warming. That's a major change in the thickness and thinness of the ice in the 1980s and 1990s. We were seeing new birds coming into our communities. In Rankin Inlet, for example, as they did in Baker Lake, the robins were coming in. There never were robins in the Arctic until the 1990s in places like Rankin Inlet and Baker Lake. So today there are robins as well as in Baker Lake and Rankin Inlet. So these changes are taking place at a very alarming rate. And if you take a look at the polar bear, polar bears are coming into our communities more and more.
Yes.
Basically because the old yellow ice that we call sikutohak, the old yellowish ice that polar bears like to hunt on, because the seal like to bask. They like to get a suntan on the yellow old ice, and that old ice is disappearing. So more and more polar bears are coming into our communities looking for food, and they become dangerous to the community and the people. So when you take a look at this climate change and global warming and the major changes that have taken place, it's a huge change from 1950s and 60s to today, which means that we need to do more polar bear control at the community level, because they have become dangerous to the people at the community level. So those are some of the major changes that we see in the Arctic today in terms of climate change and global warming.